everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Peanut City Police Podcast. This week we are joined by Major Cassandra Garvin. Now, Major Garvin, welcome, first of all.
Thank you.
And first, start by telling us a little bit about yourself, your journey in law enforcement, and kind of how you got to where you are today.
Sure. My name is Cassandra Garvin. I am currently a Deputy Chief of the Suffolk Police Department. My very first job in law enforcement was a long time ago, back in my home state of Oklahoma. I worked as a dispatcher for a smaller agency, dispatching for city, county, a number of smaller departments, volunteer fire departments, occasionally state troopers as they came through. So it was a small dispatch center, but it was very busy. From there, I went over to the local sheriff's department as an administrator in his office. And after that, I moved out here to the East Coast and settled in Virginia and really enjoyed it here. And I had enjoyed the time that I'd spent both as a dispatcher and with the sheriff's department. And so I started applying to local agencies. And Suffolk was the first one to call me back and had a great offer. And so I joined the Suffolk Police Department in 2007. And I worked in patrol. In 2009, I was selected as the department's first accreditation officer. So we had just started our accreditation journey with CALIA, which I think Major Epperson spoke to you guys about last week. And so I was our first accreditation officer and worked at revising our policies, implementing new policies, going through our initial accreditation process, which we were able to achieve. From there, I was promoted to sergeant. I went back to patrol, working at Sector 2 on evening shift. Then lieutenant, midnight shift downtown, favorite job in the department so far. And then I was captain of professional standards, so that's training, hiring, internal affairs, accreditation. And then in 2019, I was promoted to deputy chief. Initially, I stayed in administration, then I did a tour of operations, and now I'm in charge of criminal investigations. So I'm very happy to be the senior deputy chief and having commanded every aspect of the agency now. I've enjoyed every part of it, and I worked very hard to get here. I was in the right place at the right time a few times, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. I love working for the Suffolk Police Department. I love the agency. I love the community. I love the people. There's no place I'd rather be.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So with that being said, as the Deputy Chief over Investigations, your bureau is vital to making Suffolk safer. Can you tell us a little more about you and the Investigations Unit and what they do and why you're so passionate about that area of the police department?
Certainly. As the Deputy Chief, I have a hand in all of the different aspects of investigations that the department does. We have our criminal investigations, which is what people think about when they think about a detective, you know, plainclothes person on the scene. We do that. Also have our special investigation section, which is our vice, our narcotics, our gang investigators. Also have a hand in that. Again, also a plainclothes unit. We also cover forensics, which is CSI, which everyone loves, and you love, and you know about. So, you know, our forensic unit is very important, and they process all the scenes. The big scenes, the scenes our detectives investigate, some of the scenes that our officers are able to investigate. They're out there all the time. We had a big advancement with our CSI unit lately. We have our NIBIN machine, which was received, installed, and is currently in use. So we are able to process more firearms evidence in-house now, which speeds up our investigation, helps develop our staff, and helps us find the bad guy a lot quicker than having to go somewhere else and wait for returns and all of that, which you know all about. So we also have our criminal intelligence unit, which is an analyst for crime analysis and then intelligence. So these are the people who are kind of behind the scenes in looking for bigger picture connections. You know, these are my people who can look and see, hey, we've had maybe 2 incidents over here and 3 incidents over here, and the MOs match, and maybe we've got a spree. And they give us a different perspective on some of these crimes than, you know, the 3 or 4 officers who may have gone to the individual scenes, who may not see the big picture. And then they're able to relay that information all the way up. We also have our transcriptionist, our police records technician, who help with the paperwork part of investigations, because that's as important as anything else we do. Everything that we do is advancing the investigation toward a successful prosecution. And that means, yes, going out there and being boots on the ground. It means processing the scenes. It means questioning the suspects. And it means preparing the file for prosecution. So every aspect of what we do in investigations is geared toward getting justice for our victims, successfully identifying and apprehending our offenders, and preparing the case for a successful prosecution.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned kind of before your journey to get where you are, but you are our highest ranking female officer in the department. When you said it, it kind of seemed pretty easy, but I'm sure you faced some challenges along the way because policing is still a predominantly male-dominated, workforce. So tell me a little bit about kind of that side of it.
Sure. Whenever I came into policing, yes, we were still an agency, as we are now, which is, predominantly a male agency in a male industry, essentially. There were some challenges, certainly. I can remember the recruiter asking me whether I was going to stay and make a career here or whether I was going to get married and just quit. And I'd love to tell you that was, from the 1950s or the 1980s, but that was 2006. Luckily, those aren't questions that we ask anymore. And it wasn't a question that I had a hard time answering. The truth is that I became a police officer and got married and did not quit. So I think that it's fine. I think that most of our officers now, especially as we become a younger and younger agency, a lot of those kind of old school attitudes are dying out. I think that we're an agency that really does embrace having women on the force because all of our staff understand that men and women both have fantastic things that they bring to the table. I think that I have been able to succeed, not in spite of being a woman, but partially because I am a woman, because I am able to bring different perspective, different ideas, different things to the table sometimes. And I know that those things can be kind of frightening to bring up when you're sitting at a table full of men, as I often am. But I think that I do take my role as the highest ranking woman seriously. I try to be a role model on a daily basis. I try to be the person that I wish I had worked for when I was coming up. I never had the opportunity to work for a woman. Now, there were higher ranking women than me when I came on, but there weren't very many, and it just never lined up. I never had the opportunity to work for them. So I really do try to become the mentor I wish that I had had, and I try to talk to people, men and women, hey, join policing. It's a great career. It's a great life. It's a great place for you and your family. Like I said earlier, we'll say it again. You'll hear me say it 5 times in this interview. I love the Suffolk Police Department. It's where I've been my entire career. It's where I was when I married my husband. It's where I've been when I have my kids. And I love this place, and I find that it is very supportive for women. I think it is very supportive for family. I think it's very supportive for young officers who are looking for a career, not just a job. And I'd recommend it to any woman who wants to enter a career in law enforcement.
Yeah, absolutely. And just kind of to back up what you said, I know me and Joan were even talking yesterday. We were like, Major Garvin takes care of her people. So I don't know if it's just like that motherly aspect of you, or like you said, because you wish you had someone like you. But I think it's good to know, like that is accurate. That is true.
That is true.
And we feel it, but I think a lot of people in this building feel it. So,
well, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, and so a few weeks ago we touched on the subject with Chief Bowie. Can you go more in depth on the 30 by 30 initiative? And is this something you think the departments across the country are taking?
Absolutely. So the 30 by 30 initiative is a really fantastic program where it is encouraging law enforcement agencies to commit to becoming 30% women by 2030. And it's not just about recruitment, it's about retention, and it's about promotion. You want to be 30% across all the ranks, every place in your department. There are hundreds of agencies across the country that have joined and signed the 30 by 30 initiative. You have local agencies, state agencies, federal agencies that are signing on because everyone understands the importance of having a diverse workforce. I think most of your local agencies especially understand that you want to be representative demographically of the communities you serve. That's how you gain legitimacy, that's how you gain credibility, that's how you gain empathy with the people in your communities, and that's what we want. That's how we police. And 30 by 30 is a way to do that. Now, the Suffolk Police Department, right now I believe we're around 21% women. It's something that we're actively trying to increase, and like I said, it's not just about retention or recruitment, getting them in the door, it's about retention, it's about promotion. 33% of our majors are women. I think we're about 24% of our lieutenants, 22% of our sergeants, something about like 25% of our master police officers are women as well. So it is something that we're actually, really taking strides toward meeting that initiative. And there are benefits for the agency as well. women police officers are seen by community members as more empathetic, as more trustworthy, as more credible. They're absolutely more effective in sexual assault investigations. You know, a lot of really sensitive investigations involving children, and some of our more sensitive victim situations. They're also involved in less uses of force. They're less likely to be named in lawsuits. They're less likely to be named in excessive force complaints. So having women in your agency is a benefit for everyone, for the agency and for the community you serve. So I'm really proud that the Suffolk Police Department has signed on to the 30 by 30 initiative. I know there are other agencies in Hampton Roads that have as well, and I'm glad to see it. I think that the more women that we get, the better agency will be.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and you hit on it a lot there, but because I know, kind of back to our first podcast with Chief Bowie, he really spoke highly of the women of our force. And you have a lot of them right under you, but also in the streets as well, like you mentioned. So, you know, if you could talk a little bit more about that. I know our recruitment and, you know, getting in the door process is very strenuous here and lengthy, but kind of how we still kind of find those good people and bring them in.
Sure, and I think Major Bowie did talk about the overall challenges of recruitment because we are a very selective agency and we're not interested in lowering our standards, frankly. We wouldn't expect that, and we wouldn't expect our community to accept such a thing, so we're certainly not interested in doing that. But I think that women can succeed just as well as men can right now in our agency. I think that the way that we reach out to all of our recruits. We have a number of ways that we do that. We have social media, we have in-person recruiting events, we have our big job fairs that we do here on a fairly regular basis, and we've seen a lot of success with people coming out. I think that people in our community should also just look at the agency. You know, is this where you want to be? I think I said earlier, I think we're becoming a younger agency, and we are trying to become at least a more family-friendly agency. We do a lot of events. We're getting ready to do our Turkey Bowl, where we have our precinct versus precinct flag football game, which is always great fun for a lot of families, a lot of people to come out and watch and enjoy. We really want to get to know our recruits. We want them to feel like they're part of the SPD family, because again, we don't want people who are looking for a job. We want people who are looking for a career.
Exactly.
And not just any career, but a career in public service. And I think that's really important for men and for women.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And can you talk more about the women of the Suffolk Police Department and the work they do, especially with the ones that work in investigations?
Sure. So most of our sex crimes unit detective are female, and that makes sense because the majority of our victims are women. And that's a very unfortunate truth of the world. And many victims, male or female, often feel more comfortable being vulnerable with a woman. Certainly when you're dealing with children who may have been victimized, they often feel more comfortable with a woman who is interviewing them or asking questions or helping them through the journey toward prosecution. We also have women in all of our units, though, quite frankly. You know, we have female gang investigators, we have female narcotics investigators, so we have female SWAT members. we can do anything in this agency, and we do. Everyone has different talents, everyone has different strengths, and the women of our department bring it, quite frankly. They do fantastic work. The majority of our forensic unit is female, and they do excellent work. We are, you know, just received our reaccreditation, which is just a tribute to the work that those women and a man do in keeping our forensic unit top notch, you know, keeping up with best practices and maintaining the integrity of crime scenes, of evidence, of the things that they process and the things that they produce. So there are women just up and down this agency who do fantastic work every day, not just in investigations, but also in patrol and also in administration. And I couldn't be more thrilled to work alongside all of them.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you know, you've made it clear that you love working here at the Suffolk Police Department. So if there's someone watching this and, you know, maybe they're right on the button, they're like, should I go for it, should I not? You know, what would you tell somebody that's kind of in that position of possibly wanting a career in law enforcement?
Sure. I think that Suffolk is the best agency in Hampton Roads, probably the best agency in the state, I'll say that. I think that there are a few places where we really do shine. We really are head and shoulders above many of our fellow agencies in Hampton Roads. I think first is technology. We have better tech than any other agency that I've seen. We have, mobile reporting and have for 20 years. That's not something that's new to us. That's something that we've always had. My entire career, you've been able to bang out your crash report in the car. We were an early adopter of the body cameras, faster than some much larger agencies in the area. We had them, we put them on, we made it part of our culture, of transparency, of accountability, and that's the way that we work. Right now we are working on putting in a new CAD RMS system, which is dispatch and records management. Our goal is to be all electronic with all of our case files, very shortly. We use evidence.com to manage all of our digital evidence, which makes everything very easy to get, easy for the officers to upload, easy for the officers to use during their case prep. So I think technology and cars, of course. We give you take-home cars, just saying. If you're looking for to save money on that commute, come to Suffolk, because we have a car for every cop, which is not something that a lot of agencies around here can say. So I think if you're looking for a place where technology is part of the culture, where we are looking to work smarter, not harder, in many of the administrative aspects of our job, then I think Suffolk is the place for you. I think Suffolk is also the place where you're going to get a lot more exposure to different things than you would in many other agencies. One of the benefits of being our size of an agency is that, yes, we have specialty units, but our patrol officers still get the opportunity to engage in felony investigations, to work with maybe a gang unit or a narcotics unit, to follow a case to completion that may have started with something as simple as a traffic stop and spins into something bigger. In some agencies, that gets taken from you and handed off to the bigger unit, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But in Suffolk, you get a chance to work it all the way through. You also have nothing but opportunity here. Again, I've said it a few times, we're a very young agency. We are growing. The city of Suffolk is growing. We've just surpassed 100,000 citizens, and we're only going up from here. In the next 5 years, I'd expect to see new units, new buildings, new facilities. I think that we have a lot of places where we're going to be growing very quickly. So if you are looking to get in and move into something that you really want to do, go up the rank to promote, go specialize somewhere, Suffolk's the place to do it. So get in now. Get in now. You heard it here first.
Awesome. Well, Major Garvin, that is all the questions we have for you, but I'm going to open it up now. Is there anything else that you want to say or add that maybe we didn't touch on or ask about?
Just, I've really, really enjoyed my time here at the Suffolk Police Department. The agency has been very, very good to me. I have really, really found a few different places where I have succeeded, I think. And the relationships that I've made here, the friendships that I've made here, will probably carry through the rest of my life. I cannot imagine being anywhere else. I used to say it to my coworkers all the time, why would anyone want to work anywhere else? The community is fantastic. We have a great relationship with our community. We are very tight with our community leaders. We have the support of our city administration, our city manager, our city council. Absolutely support us here, which is not something that every agency can say. I think that when we ask for things as an agency, we get them. And I also think that Suffolk is just prime for growth. There's nothing but opportunity here. And I think anyone who's looking for a career or looking for a place to call home, Suffolk should be a top contender, because we are a really great city now, and I can't wait to see what comes next.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Major Garvin, again for joining us today. And look out for our episode next week. We will be joined by Major John McCarley, and we're going to talk a little bit more about special operations. So we'll see you then.